Hi, welcome to Shaky's Woodworking. I'm Tom. In 2019, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Since then, I all but gave up my woodworking. Now, I've been working with wood since I was 8 years old. It all started with the Cub Scouts Pinewood Derby car. Here's the one I made when I was 9 years old. And here's some pictures of my work. This is one of the last pieces I have made. I really tried to keep going with my woodworking, but I got discouraged when I realized I had the best looking firewood in Indiana. However, the need to make something has never left, and it is now giving me the push I need to get started again. So here I am. Let's get the journey started. I was in the big box store and I found backbanding. Backbanding is a piece of wood with a rabbit that runs along the length. And I thought, wow, that would make a great picture frame. So that's what I'm going to make today. I'm going to go through the whole process of measuring the wood, cutting the wood, and putting everything together, and we'll have a nice picture to hang at the end. So with that in mind, let's get started. In woodworking, you measure twice, cut once. Well, with this project, I measured a lot and I cut a lot. The problem that I was having was getting the picture to fit properly in the frame. So as a result, it wasn't a total loss. I got all these nice little different sized picture frames that I can now use. This is what our back banding looks like. Here's a side view of it with the 45-degree cut. This will be the side. This will be the front. And this is the rabbet that we're concerned with. Measuring the rabbet is from this point here to this point here. If it was any shorter, the picture wouldn't fit. If it was longer, it would fit real sloppy and move around a lot and be loose. Here is a cross section of our frame. The two measurements that we're going to be concerned with is the width of the frame and the depth of the rabbet. This is the best website I found for calculating the height and width of the frame. First you enter the height, then you enter the width, you enter the width of the frame, and the depth of the rabbet. Calculate and you get the cut list. I found it was still a little short and I needed to add a 1/16 of an inch to each piece. I also use this calculator to take decimals back to fractions. As you can see, 0.875 equals 7/8 of an inch. I downloaded this fraction calculator from the Play Store. It sure makes things a lot easier. And here is our cut list. 16 15/16 inches, 20 15/16 inches, 2 of each. Let's see how it works. Here are the crickets. Got crickets here. It's really kind of cool. So this is our back banding, 8 feet long. We're going to start at this end. We're going to cut our 16 15/16, and then we're going to cut our 20 15/16, the 16 15/16, and the 20 15/16. And the idea of that is we want the grain to follow the frame around. It'll give it a nice finished look if you're not painting it. So before we start measuring, our first cut has to be at a 45-degree angle. And I always measure what angle it needs to go in so that I don't get confused. So we've made our first cut, nice 45-degree angle. And now it's time to make our first measurement. First thing I'm going to do is pull this out a little bit. And I got this clamp to clamp onto the saw so that it stays steady. Makes it easier for me to measure. 16 and 15/16 is right there. So we got sort of a mark there. I'm going to use my square and just mark it all the way around. And turn it. And I'm clamping this down. And you'll see our next cut is going to be on this line at this 45-degree angle. So I'm going to bring this pencil mark around to the angle here so I can see it. We can cut. Okay, there's our mark. And we check again, measure twice, cut once, 16, 15/16 on the nose. Keep things straight, and it'll keep things from moving around. And I put 2 on the opposite side because I can. All right, so here we go. Well, that was fun. Cut number 1. So this is the first cut of our second piece. And I'm just going to bring it up here. See, makes a nice fit. So at this point, I'll bring it out. And I'll clamp it down. And this cut is 20 and 15/16. And we're going to mark it. I'm going to turn it. Bring our mark across. That's our second measurement. So we've got our mark. Going to line it up with the saw like we did for the first cut. There, right there. And I'm going to clamp it down again. And we get started. So we have our first two pieces cut, and if I line them up, they look pretty darn good to me. So we're going to go with it. Now, to measure the second piece, this, and the second piece of this, we're really not going to measure. I'm basically going to take this first piece, and I'm going to hold it up against the saw blade and clamp it in. So it's good and snug. And then I've got this little jig that I made that I can push right up against there and clamp it down. There, that's good and tight. Going to bring my wood over. Make a lot of noise while I'm doing it. And we're going to clamp it. And we're ready to cut. And if we take these pieces, put them back to back, they're the same length. Now just going to do that with the fourth piece. I don't know what I would do without clamps. Now remember, for the last piece, we still have to change the angle. So as you can see, we have 3 pieces cut. And if we match them up, we've got some nice 45 degrees and the grain matches. At this point, I'm going to mark these so that we make sure that the same pieces get in the same place. And I'll just put like a 1, a 1, and then I'll put a 2, and a 2. This way, when we put it together, they'll still match. Now I have to cut this second piece here, and I'm not going to measure. I'm going to set it in the saw with the saw down. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to clamp it in. Now I'm going to take this jig that I made, and I'm going to butt it right up to the piece and clamp it in. Nice and snug. Now, I already cut 45 on this piece. So I'm going to bring it in. Clamp it in. Nice and tight. I'm going to saw. Now, if all went according to plan, we can put these back to back. And we'll find they're the same. So we got 4 pieces, all the same length. And the next part is putting it all together.